it's Rachel here from RachandBellaCrafts. Welcome back to our channel. Today I am going to do a very quick tutorial on how I made my Edith Holden envelope that you may have seen in the previous journal that we've just finished, the series for the Botanical Journal. It's very simple and straightforward. There are some slight variations, so I'm going to go through those with you this morning. Okay, so using the scoreboard, this is kind of an ideal project to do if you have some of those pages that perhaps you don't really want to use on a specific project, or you like the colour variations of, but you don't really want, you know, the excess images around the side. Or if you're perhaps left with index pages, again, it's an ideal, but the paper colour and tone with the Edith Holden book is just so lovely. You know, there's no wasted pages, are there? And it's just nice as well to find a different way to bring them into the journal. So what I did first, take your single page, don't worry about the edging, we'll sort all that in a second, and I've taken it to the top of my scoreboard. The page is average 23 centimetres. That's probably the only measurement you're going to hear me mention today, because you know I don't measure anything. And what I'm looking at first is just to work out how long I want this section here to be, the flap of the envelope. So I'm going to mark this at about 18 centimetres, and that then will give me, just so I know what I'm working with, and then that's my flap area there then. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do now is I'm going to fold the bottom up to the top. Obviously at this point it would be a good idea to decide which side you're going to use. I'm going to leave this side out because I like that image. This is the image you're looking at here. So if you wanted to have the print side, you could also do that. I've made one in the past, and I've kept this side of the envelope, and then I've covered it with like a voile that had a pattern on it, and that left a really lovely effect as well. But for today we're going to look at the picture side. So literally bring the bottom up to the folds where your envelope flap that we've just scored. You're going to bring this up, making sure that working from this side here, so make sure that these edges here, make sure that they're flush, because we'll be trimming that side in a little while. And you're just going to leave, oh my goodness, we're not even talking a millimetre, but just a little tiny gap at the top there, just to ease the folding down. And then just smooth that down with your finger there. Okay. Obviously these pages are quite old and quite flimsy sometimes, so any scoring that you do, or any easing with the bone folder, you know, go a little bit gently, because it's doesn't take much to go through, and then you know you've gone through the paper. Okay, so the next step that you're going to do now is, again, bringing your scoreboard back down. Just take your page to the top, and we're going to look to score down about 1 centimetre in. So I'm just going to line mine up here on the number 18 there a minute, and I'm just going to take my score and very gently just give me a bit of a guide there. So I'm going to turn the page round, because I like working from number 18, and pop it back in line there, and then I know I've got my centimetre there then, and very gently do a score. Right, so I think we can get rid of that now. Can we? No, hang on, I'll hang on to that for just a second longer. So the next step now is we're going to fold these flaps that we've just scored. We're going to fold them in, because these are going to make our edges that we're going to use to fix the envelope together. So you should now have a shape that looks like this, which is very nice. It's a little bit boxy, but that there is a basic envelope shape. So now we're going to work on how to make that a little bit more user-friendly, because obviously as it's an envelope, that's great, but we want to use it for our journal, so we want it to look nice, don't we? Want it to look decorative. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to firstly take off. So this is, I'm holding now the top of the journal. So this, the top of the journal, it's not a journal, it's an envelope. I'm holding now the top of the envelope. This is the flap. And I'm going to take my scissors, and where we've just scored, so if you can see, sorry, is that a bit too close? If you can see the score line down here now, I'm going to cut down the score line here, and I'm going to notch off slightly just down there. So literally pop in the scissors where I've just scored, down there, and then as I get to the next line, which is the end of the flap, I'm going to then take it off at a bit of a V. So we're going to just, no, I'm not, sorry. I'm going to go down for another centimetre. That's correct. Right, so let me just go through that with you again. Where you come down to the score line of the flap, you're going to cut this piece here about another centimetre down, and then we're going to cut away to a V, because we don't want that poking out at the top. So you should have a piece like that come off, and then your envelope should look like this. So turn it over and I'll do it the other side. So down another centimetre, and out like that. That's fine. Now, it doesn't matter if they're even or not or whatever, that really doesn't matter. The main thing is that you've been able to cut them, and that we can now fold our flap down, and that it'll be in the right shape. So the next thing that I'm going to do is where you've got your flap down the side here now, I'm going to just notch out a little V here. So where it folds, I'm going to take a V there, just because it takes away a little bit of the bulk on closing. So I do one there and one there. And again, you're not going to see these notches. It doesn't matter if the one side is slightly bigger than the other. We're just going to take that out, because then when we fold our pieces in, and this is the point at which you might now want to just do a little bit of a fold on that there, and a little bit of a fold on that there. And then when we fold the envelope up, then we've got a nice clean edge there now to work with. And inside, you'll see that when it is glued together, it doesn't glue it really tight shut. Because if you didn't have the flaps and you just, you know, you can make an envelope without doing these, but if you do that and then you stick the sides together, you're losing a centimetre either side. Whereas if you do it this way and you stick the flaps together, you've got that nice gap there, and then you can slide something in and out, and you've got mostly then the widths of the actual envelope. Right, the next thing I'm going to do a second now is I'm just going to open out that rough side. So this is the edge now that was attached to the book, and I'm really just going to take off a very, very smidgen of the end, just to smooth that up, because we don't want that catching on anything inside. Now, you can do that to start with if you want. I just find it easier to do it at that point, because I usually forget. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to look at now is the shape of our flap. So, like I say, we fold the envelope up, bring it down. That's very nice. Yep, lovely. You can leave your envelope in that shape now. It's quite boxy, but it serves a purpose, so that's fine. But just to make it look a little bit more attractive, what we can do then is to just notch the corners of the envelope, the flap. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my take it back to the scoreboard a second, just to very quickly measure. Now, you don't have to do any of these measurements. You can do it all by eye. I'm sure a lot of you are far better at cutting in a straight line than I am. But I'm showing you guys, so I want it to be straight. So I'm going to come up a centimetre, because we need to leave, and we're just going to put a little tiny mark there, nothing massive, because that is going to just be something we work to. So all I want to know is that I'm going to leave a centimetre here to play with, because this centimetre here gives that little bit of depth. So when you fold the envelope down, otherwise if I cut it right away, I'd have a gap then, I'd be able to see through what's underneath. But we're just going to cut to this line here. And what I'm also going to do, just so that they are even, I'm just going to mark a centimetre on the top there, just so you can see what I'm doing. Not in line there. I'm just going to mark back in a centimetre. Again, just a tiny, tiny little mark, because that's just my, you know, on your marks, get set, go line, really. And the same the other side, just a little notch there. So then what I'm going to do then, when I cut, I'm going to place my scissors on this line here, the notch I just made here. Ooh, finger out there. And then I'm going to aim like a cue ball to that notch there. See? So that's why I say you don't want that mark there to be too deep, because you can rub it back out then. And then the same then, this side, I'm going to pop it on that notch there. And then we're going to aim for the corner there. And we're not going to cut any lower than, so if you see where I marked, I haven't cut any lower. So when I now fold my envelope out, we should have a nice shape on our flap. Yes, we have, look at that. So again, like I say, don't make that notch there too deep. You could do it with a little pencil mark and rub it out. That would work just as fine. I just wanted to notch it in just so that you could see. But that there now is the basic shape of your envelope. If I very quickly just ink this, you'll be able to see that then with a bit more definition. So just go around there a second, and then around there, and then there we go. That should now stand out a bit better against what's below. So there we go. So you can see our flap there nice and clearly. Okay, so the next thing that you're going to want to look at is this shape here. Now, you've got two options. You can either take your scissors and literally work from this corner to that corner and just curve in and take out the very slightest centimetre of paper and take that away, and that will give you then that nice, but it gives you space then to get your hand in and out, and you can take your item in and out, and you can see, more importantly, that there's something in there. Or you can use your circle cutter, and you can simply notch the centre. So for the sake of this one, I'm going to just do that a moment, because it is just slightly simpler. If you're unsure about where to do your notch, simply take your piece of paper, put the two bits together, don't fold anything, and you're going to just pinch the top, because that's what we're going to be cutting away. So you're not going to be damaging any else, just pinch the top, and then you can simply place it straight into the centre of your circle cutter, and that should give you a bit of a guide then on where you are cutting. Mine is still always ever so slightly out, but I don't know, I don't think that's too bad a job there. Okay, and again, you might want to then just, while you're thinking of it, ink that bit up, because we always like to have a little bit of ink on our edges there, don't we? Especially if we're working on something that's perhaps a bit botanical. And as we've got that there, I'm just going to do these edges here as well. Okay, so the next thing that you're going to start thinking about now, before we seal the envelope closed, because it's far easier to decorate the envelope while it's still in sections like this. So the next thing that you're going to think about is, would you like to add stitching to the edges? Now, I know not everybody's got a sewing machine, so I will explain to you in a second alternatives to what you can do if you don't have a sewing machine. But this is the point at which you would simply think, right, let's get this to the sewing machine, and you are just going to add a stitch down the inside of the flap line there, the inside of the flap line there, and if you prefer, you can also add some decoratively across the front there. So here's one I did earlier, my Blue Peter one. There we go. So just to, if you to see, obviously if I'd done that with it with the flaps shut, these would have been caught, and I didn't want to do that. So I've literally added a nice bit of stitching down there and there, and then on the flap then, just to reinforce that edge. And I like to put a bit of stitch on the edge of the flap sometimes, because I find the weight keeps the envelope closed. Another idea that you can do, you can add, you can do your faux stitching, as they call it. I think that's what they call it. All I've done here is I've used a distress pen, and I've simply just very quickly, roughly marked down. I mean, you could do a lot neater now, you do little crosses. That's if you don't have a sewing machine, you just want to add a bit of detail. Another option that you could do, you could take some fabric or some linen, and you could slow stitch on that, and just put a little bit of that down the edge, just to add a bit of decoration there. But again, that's not essential, you don't have to do that. So here you can see now examples of the two different types. So you've got one here with the notch opening, and that has been stitched, and then you've got another one here then where I've cut it away and I've done a faux stitch on it. So at this point now, we're simply going to glue our envelope closed, because we're done you know, putting it together, and then we can decorate then. I choose to use 3-in-1 or Fabri-Tac for this, because it's going to take a lot of you know, pulling and one thing another, and as much as I like my my yellow glue, I don't think it's the best for this, so I want something nice and strong on this. Of course, another option you could do is what I did on the last one, where I actually stitched it shut. So on that one there, I did have some problems with my sewing machine that day, but on that one there I have literally just sewn it shut. So we've glued it up now, and we're going to very carefully just glue it into place. Again, the same here. Okay, so now ideas to decorate. What I have done with, what I did with my previous one, so this is just an idea of what you can do. I used I printed out some butterflies on vellum, and I then cut out some printed tracing paper that I'd made an error on, but I thought it would be fine, they would do for that. And I simply have cut them into little squares and stuck them then onto the back of the tracing paper. I chose to do that because I felt that they were really lightweight, and at that point I didn't want to add too much weight to the envelope, because obviously you're going to be putting paper inside, and then what else you're going to decorate with. Now I stuck this down a little while ago with some Uhu, and it's come off, so I think this is a Fabri-Tac job. So just for you to be aware, sticking tracing paper to vellum, you need a very, very adhesive glue. Okay, so that's that there. There we go. Okay, so the next thing then you can look at doing is you can add, here's a snippet that I made earlier out of paper. So you can, you know, take a piece of that, cut it and add it to your flap, and that makes quite a nice decoration. Obviously cut it to size or whatever you want. Another alternative that you could do, you can add a ruffle to it. You can add some lace to it. I'm going to decorate mine with this lovely pretty lace. So if I just add this on here a second. And as you can see, this is a really quick and easy job. Once you get the hang of how to fold your envelopes, for decorating then, it takes no time at all. So, and there are all sorts of things that you can do that will be quite effective, I think. And again, this is really using up your scraps opportunity as well, I feel. So, you know, whatever you've got hanging around, if you've got, this is an ideal project to use like your fabric snippets on and your paper scrap snippets, just because, I don't know, it's just the nature, I think, of the fact that we're reusing the book pages. And then, there we are. So I think that looks quite pretty on there, quite botanical. And then on the front, then I'll just place my stamp. Plenty of glue on there, because it's not easy sticking the tracing paper down. There we go. And then just to add something a little extra, we could put a little bit of fabric here. I'm sliding my fabric onto the glue because I find then you're not getting loads of glue wastage, because you're getting on the whole piece then. And maybe a bit of lace, and perhaps we'll have a bit of this one as well then, with that nice bit of green on there. Okay, so let's put that there. You could add buttons to decorate it. You can add charms, gems, all sorts of things. I'm going to add a hashtag to the end of this video. If you guys do make these envelopes, will you please post them up with a hashtag so I can have a look at all your work, and it would be great to share some of each other's creativity and just to get some ideas going. And that is it. It's as simple as that. So there we go, Edith Holden book page envelope, and there's two different examples there of how you can do that. Okay, hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't yet subscribed, if you wouldn't mind clicking the subscribe button, and if you click on the little bell, you'll get a notification then of the next time I upload a video. But other than that, take care, look after yourselves and stay safe. Thanks very much, bye.